right, I think we're rolling. Well, good. Look at that, 12:03. Good afternoon, everyone. It's Chief Drew, and this is our chat with the Chief session for June the 18th, right? So this is our afternoon session. We'll do another set. We're going to do another session at 6 o'clock this evening. Lauren is here helping me out today. I'm not touching anything electronically, and then we'll do this again at 6 o'clock this evening. So what I would ask, if anyone is logged in at this point, if you would just type in, hey, it sounds okay, and we see you okay. I just want to make sure our systems are working. And then, yeah, so what I like to do in these sessions is just have some open lines of communication. If you have a question or a comment, or you want to have some conversation about a particular topic in policing or here in Newport News, I do like to spend a little bit of time and kind of update our audience on crime numbers, what's going on in our city, what are some of the things that we have just completed, where are we at now here in the, I can't believe we're already at June 18th, and then of course what we have coming up next and sharing some of those things with you. So we've had, it's been a busy summer already, but it's good. So let's see, Joy. Visual is okay, and Joy, thank you, I appreciate that. So let me start out with talking a little bit. I saw our crime numbers, our crime statistics yesterday. I get those every Monday, and we go through them every Monday and every Thursday. So right now, the department has about a 40% reduction in our homicides. We have a reduction overall in our violent crime. Property crime is still some issues, primarily with larcenies, but we do have a reduction in crime overall for the year. I think we're down about 6% for the year. Talk to you about some of the ways we report crime. The big thing for me is, what are we seeing in our shootings? What are we seeing in our homicides? Really focusing on gun violence. So our shootings are down about 15, 16%. I have not looked at them this morning. Probably about 16%, and our homicides are down about 40%. We had, I think the number was 15 homicides this time last year. 14 homicides this time last year, and we have 8 homicides where we sit today. Now, when I talk about those numbers, let me just pause. Everybody likes to hear about reductions, no doubt. But every statistic, every number, every graph, right, where we plot points and data points, I don't lose sight of those are individuals. Those are individuals, families, those are our communities, our neighborhoods. Those are victims. The reason I look at the data is I want to know, is our strategies affecting that increase or decrease? And if we need to switch some different things, do we need to move resources from one neighborhood to another? But I don't lose track of what we're talking about, what we're dealing with, right? And that matters to me. Individuals matter to me. But I do like to share a little bit about where we are. So right now we're seeing good decreases in our homicide rate. We're seeing good decreases in our non-fatal shootings, and really good decreases in violent crime across, but that gun violence is what we're really focusing on this year. And why is that? So when I get asked by the mayor or city manager, well, I believe that is citizen involvement. I think it's some of the strategies that we're using, our deployment, focusing on violent offenders, making sure that we're out here at the right times in the right neighborhoods. Citizen input, cooperation we get from our communities, our faith leaders, some of our outreach programs, the Boys and Girls Clubs, the stuff that we're doing with Friday Night Nets. I just had a really good conversation with Pastor Swan last Friday as we were talking a little bit about the youth and what are we seeing so far. And, we're trying to look at that sample of how is it affecting some of the issues that we've seen in our neighborhoods. So if you're not familiar with Friday Night Nets, at the Denby Community Center and Achievable Dreams Tennis Court, there are sessions at both, right? So from 6 to 8, 8:30, it is youth. And then from 8:30 to 10:30, it is adults. And when I say adults, I think, it's adults playing basketball, right? Something to do, some recreation. So I see individuals come in and just shoot around, open gym. I see people come in and hang out a little bit together. I see guys doing 2-on-2, 3-on-3, 1-on-1, 5-on-5, and it's at both locations at the same time. The city serves food, and so I have gone to all of them except one. We're going to do it every Friday through the end of August. I missed one because of I went to a high school graduation. No, that's not right. I missed one because we had our young adult police commissioner gala. But I have enjoyed it. I usually do the first hour and a half, 2 hours up in Denby, and then I travel down south and spend the last hour and a half, 2 hours at the Achievable Dream tennis courts there, where they have games going on. So I really enjoy it. Just getting out and interacting, talking to young people, guys coming in and playing basketball, and see a lot of kids there. It's just I enjoy it. There's food there. There's some gaming going on as well. The staff is engaging. They have counselors there if need be. But it's just, sometimes I was having this conversation with a friend of mine up in the Denby Community Center. Sometimes it's just about showing up, just being there, saying hello to people when they show up, having people feel comfortable, teasing them a little bit when they make a shot or miss a shot. Just hanging out, sitting with someone on the bleachers, having a conversation. I think that stuff matters. So I really enjoy that, and that I think that is playing a role in some of the reductions we're seeing, especially stuff with our youth. And I think when you talk to people, it's like, hey, we want something to do. Yeah, well, maybe you don't know about it. It's just it's a really good venue and good event. So I enjoy that. Let me catch up here a little bit. So Joy, thank you, and hi, Chief. Hope your officers are having a good day. Ms. Whalen, I appreciate that. It means a lot. Hope you're having a good day, and thank you for chiming in. Joy, thank you for the press conference yesterday. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Open and transparent. That's why it sets apart from. Well, I don't know about all. I don't know about all that, Joy. I will tell you. So what Joy's talking about is just briefly. We had a police involved shooting over the weekend, Friday night into Saturday morning. So it was about 2 a.m., 2:30 a.m. And we did a press conference. So we were here till about noon Saturday. And, as a police chief, you try to be transparent, or at least transparent as much as I can with the community. But I also got to balance. It's a criminal investigation that we need to submit to a Commonwealth attorney so they can put fresh eyes on the investigation of what we recover as facts. And then, but there's also, right, trying to be open and as transparent as we can as much with the community. So we put out on Saturday morning that we had a police-involved shooting, and then we would have a press conference on Monday. What that does is allow us to collect as much facts as I can and put out. Not that we're trying the case in the media. That's not the point. It's the point to tell the community, here's what happened. The investigation is ongoing. We did a press conference yesterday afternoon. What was it? 5 o'clock yesterday? We did a press conference about 5 o'clock yesterday and took some questions, and we just tried to give a little overview of what happened. Now, I opened up yesterday, and I'll say this. Any loss of life is tragic. It doesn't, regardless of the circumstances, it's family, it's an individual, it's a neighborhood, it's a community that affects officers. The officers have to go through that. No one likes to be involved in a police-involved shooting. And sometimes, we put officers, sometimes we're required to be in harm's way. But that was the reason that I did the press conference, and trying to balance that. Now we'll step back and allow the detectives to complete their investigation. We'll package that, send that to the Commonwealth Attorney, and Mr. Gwynn's office will make the final determination. I had a good conversation with him Saturday morning before I left here, and then I did call the mother of the individual, and just had some conversation. And those are hard, right? I'm not calling to go through the case point by point. And we heard this, and what do you know about? I was calling to check on her family, her husband, and it meant a lot to me that she would even take my call. So I just think that's important. So, Joy, I appreciate that. I think it's important to be as transparent. I think we have that relationship in this community, and and there's some questions that yesterday I was able to answer, and some that I would go so far, and then I don't want to jeopardize or hurt any investigation, and I owe it to the detectives to complete their investigation. I owe it to the Commonwealth Attorney to get a report to them, and then I also owe it to the community to be as open and transparent as I can. So I'm trying to balance all three of those things. But I appreciate that. The officers did or I should say the detectives did a good job in giving me the information, some of the questions I asked that we were able to put out. So, yeah, I appreciate that, Joy. Those are never easy, but I think it's something that's beneficial all the way around. Lynn, hi, Chief. Hello to everyone in Newport from San Diego. Uh, Graduation was memorable. I'm so proud of my son. He's achieved his dream profession. Praying that everyone does safely. Well, Lynn, I appreciate that. I will tell you, I was in San Diego, gosh, almost 7 months ago. There was a conference down there in October. Myself and Chief Grinstead went. We looked at some of the new technology, some of the things out there. We learned about what's going on in policing around the country. Great city. It was great weather, so I really enjoyed it. We walked a lot, had a really good time. But yeah, also congratulations to you and yeah. So and you should be proud of your son. That's good for you, and I hope he enjoys it as much as what I'm reading in your post. That means a lot, and I appreciate that. So last weekend, no, 2 weekends ago, I cannot believe we're middle of June. We're past halfway in June already. It's like it's flying by. 2 weekends ago, we had our high school graduations. On Thursday of 2 weeks ago, I got to see Achievable Dream, their class graduate, and then I got to attend 3 graduations on Saturday and 2 on Sunday. So we went to every single graduation. I think that's important to show up for the youth of our city. I talk a lot about technology, a lot about interaction, a lot about community policing, a lot about training. But I really have a passion for young people, for youth. That's our future, and all of us had people help us along the way. So again, when we talk about showing up, just being there, showing support, seeing the kids walk across the stage, get that diploma, hearing the roar of the crowd, right, as their son or daughter's name was called. I really enjoyed it. It was a long weekend, though. I can tell you, I slept hard Sunday night. But it was a long weekend, and I did enjoy going out over to the Coliseum in Hampton and seeing all of our Newport News students graduate. It was the band was great. Reach High School, singing the their school song was great. But yeah, I got to our Vice Mayor Curtis Bethany was there. While the rest of our city, a lot of our city leadership was up in Denver, and they were competing for the American City Award, and they brought that home. That's a tremendous benefit. I think that helps us a lot with grants, with where we are in our financial when we apply or want to do things financially. When individuals or businesses look at cities, when you talk about All-American City, to be on that list, and this is a place to move to or live or start a business or whatever, I think all of those things play in. So I was really excited to hear that they were able to achieve that. We had Captain Allison Funiak with our police department was there for the public safety aspect, along with the fire department and others. But we just talked about some things we're doing to disrupt violence, to address gun violence, things that we're doing in supporting our community and our youth. So she was a great representative of the department, and collectively they were able to bring that home to our city. So there's a lot happening 2 weekends ago. This past weekend, I got to partake in attend the Pride Festival in Hilton Village. I got to spend a couple hours there. It seemed like everybody was having a really good time. There was good food. I may or may not have stopped in and got some ice cream at the Creamery, but if you were there and saw that, you might have some evidence of that. But it was just really good to just hang out a little bit, and I enjoyed the festivities there. Ms. Banks, always praying for you and your Ms. Banks. I appreciate that. It means a lot, and I will tell you, myself and the officers will take every one. Bob, how long after a OUI can you apply for the department asking for a friend? So OUI, DUI is what we're talking about. If it's a DUI, the particulars, what was the age, how long did it happen, what was the situation, was there a conviction, was it reduced? What I would suggest to tell your friend is to call us. If you direct message us, or if you want to call the recruiting office, you can get you in touch with the recruiter, because never just allow, I'll never be considered. We look at a lot of different factors with that, right? What comes into play. So I'd like to look at the totality of what that is. Now, there is a time frame, right? If you had a DUI, I don't know, 2 months ago, that's going to be problematic. But if you had one 5 or 6 years ago, let's just take a look at it and see what are your driving points, what was it, is it way above the limit, accident involved, stopped, here was the issue. There's just a lot of things that play into it. So don't let that. I would like to get you hooked up with a recruiter, or at least have that conversation, right? Know a little bit more about it. Is it Tracy? Good afternoon, Chief. You and your team are appreciated. That's okay. You and your team are appreciated. You show up, and that matters as the Newport News community. Tracy, I appreciate that. I think sometimes, all of us play a role, and I've seen more and more in policing today that more and more entities, right? It's not just a police issue. It's all these entities and playing together to make our community better, safer, the best community, the best city that we can be. And police certainly have a role in that, but it is all of us collectively, right? And I talk about over and over the police department, the fire department, human services, our faith leaders, our churches, our businesses, our civic associations, schools. All these different entities play a role in what we're trying to do and make our city better. And I think that's one of the things that really stood out in the award that we just received, is that Newport News has demonstrated that they have these entities that can work together. We're trying to get this across the finish line, and everyone plays a role. So I think that makes the best team, whether you look at analogy in sports or in governing a city or moving a city forward, is leadership, the individuals who do the job, a hard, strong work ethic, people who care and compassionate about what they do and about other people, and then putting all that together to move the city forward for the better good. And I just think that's the winning chemistry, the winning equation to get where we're trying to go. So I appreciate that. So thank you very much, Bob. I got you. Faith. Faith. Good afternoon. It's good to have you here. Thanks for joining us, Bob. I hope that helped. And look, I would really encourage your friend to call and let's have a conversation and kind of get to particulars of what happened. Miss Neal, how are you? I hope you're doing well. I hope things are going well since graduation and seeing what you're up to. You have to stop by sometime this summer. I'd love to catch up and just hear how you're doing, how your family's doing. But thanks for chiming in. And I know you do a lot of chiming in and staying connected with us, and I appreciate that. Robin, good afternoon, Chief. Great to be here with you. Keep up the awesomeness. Is that a word, Lauren? Awesomeness, is that a word?
Yes.
You could put that in a sentence, awesomeness?
Maybe not in a professional sentence, but
you can make it work.
Yeah.
Okay. So Lauren says we can accept that, Robin. So I appreciate that, and it means a lot. So thank you very much. I hope you're doing well and having a good summer. And while we're on the topic of summer, just remember, as we're driving in our communities, one of the biggest complaints we get, especially over the summer, is traffic control, right, or speed enforcement. So what we're doing here in our city is some of the SROs that are out of school now, we're using some of them to supplement patrol or to do some specific traffic enforcement. If anybody knows Skip Blanchard, you know that he will be out in the Hilton area on Warwick, up and down Warwick enforcing. He's probably the nicest guy in the world to get pulled over by. So if you happen, that may happen, to get pulled over and have an interaction with Skip Blanchard is really special. But he takes traffic safety very important, but it's also a good interaction. Excellent with youth, excellent with individuals. But that's one area that we'll certainly be focusing heavy on this summer. So I would just encourage and remind people to drive careful. There's a lot of kids out playing, running around. Balls get lost in the street. Balls bounce out in the street. So we've all done that as kids. So just please be careful. But remember that summer's out, and younger kids are outside playing in this weather. So just please drive careful. But we are doing some selective speed enforcement, traffic enforcement over the summer months. Love, hi Chief Drew. Love, how are you? I hope you're doing well and having a good summer. So it's funny, we talk about summer programs. We just talked about youth. So downstairs yesterday, so we have three youth academies this year, and we added a fourth in August. So I'm going to share with you what the fourth one is, but I don't want anybody laughing at me. A couple years ago, we started our third, the new addition to our academies that we do with young people, camps, I should say, I guess our camps with young people, was a drone camp, and it really went over well, and so we did that the last couple years, and we'll do that again this year. So downstairs now is one of our youth camps. I think we have about 25, 26 students, middle school and high school, that we're working with. A lot of our SROs, our Community Youth and Outreach Division are down there. Some of our citizen employees are down there, and we're just working with them. I got to meet them yesterday. Had some really good, they went around, they divide them up into teams, and look, I'll tell you, so they do competitions against each other, right? But the SROs that are captains of each team, they also are very, very competitive. They also go back and forth and are very, very competitive. So I think the kids were feeling some of that energy. Officer Washington and Herrera, they were both talking about which team was going to win, and they'd been there like 20 minutes. But it was a good event. I got to see them coming in today. I haven't got to go down and see them. One of the main things I want to know is what are we feeding them for lunch, right? Make sure we're taking care of them. But they're good kids down there, and again, one of the reasons we push so hard with young people is I have a passion for youth. That is our future, and I also want the youth of this city to know that they matter to me, and I want the men and women who wear this uniform, this badge, that youth matter to us, right? That's important. So, love, I appreciate that, but I'll tell you, it's just really good to see them. So we'll do the youth camp, the kind of the police academy geared for youth. We'll do that camp. We'll do the drone camp. And here's the fourth one. Are you ready? Look, I just floated an idea. I hear about this new sport that's just taken the country by storm. And I tried to look it up a little bit, and I thought, oh, it looks like wiffle ball, right? But it's pickleball. So people told me it's like ping pong with a bigger ball. They told me it's a cross between tennis at a slower pace. And I guess a lot of people, right? So when we just put out late, do you think people would be interested? And I got some crazy looks. And then there was like 50 or 60 people in the department that just like, oh, it's the greatest thing. So we actually had some lessons. And now I got people excited about it. So I'm excited. We're going to do that camp. August, I believe, is our pickleball camp. I think it's a 3-day camp. We'll do one day or a half day, kind of where we learn the game. The second part of that day and day 2, we'll do some practices, and then day 3 we're going to have some competition. Now, I understand there's been some challenges thrown around, and police officers are pretty good at laying down some challenges. We talk a lot of craziness, right? We tease a lot of people. So don't be surprised if we come August and the chief of police and the mayor are on a 2-man team against 2 of the youth in the academy, or we may just we may throw out a challenge to some other individuals in our city. Maybe we might challenge the city manager and some people. You just never know. But I'm going to try to learn it and see how we do. Chief Creswell's like, hey, you can't swing it like a baseball bat and see how far you can hit it, right? So I got to remember But I'm excited. We've posted it on our Facebook page if you haven't seen it. We've got some flyers out there, but if you're interested in pickleball, we're going to do a pickleball camp in August, and we'll see how it goes from there. But a lot of people I talked to said, Chief, you're going to love it. People are going to be engaged, so I'm going to even get Lauren out there to hit the ball around a little bit. Maybe Lauren and Kelly can play me in the mayor or something. We'll see how it works out. Love, I understand. Yeah, we'll be back at 6 o'clock this evening. No worries. So I'm excited about the summer. I'll tell you about some partnerships that we have this summer going on. The state police are working with us. We started that a little bit last year, towards the end of August and September. So we have some additional state troopers that are partnering with us. And my friend, Colonel Suttle with the state police, had some conversations with him. We reached out, and we have another group of state troopers that are working with our narcotics division, our gang unit, our fugitive unit this summer, doing some joint efforts. You and I both know that crime doesn't have boundaries, right? And here in our city, if you walk across the street, we're in DeHampton, and we have a great relationship there. But to have some of the state resources as well, some of the things that they can bring to the table, and then we all work together. I think it's very beneficial. We saw some strong reductions the last 3 months of the year. I think that played a big role in coming into 2024. That we got off, by the grace of God, we got off to a great start. And we did have some trouble last year with violence. I mean, there's nothing, no around that. We did, and we wanted to do some things to address that, right? So a couple things are increasing more activities for young people, partnering with the state police, the Hampton Police Department, doing heavy traffic enforcement this summer, youth outreach and our grassroots organization that are trying to disrupt, keep temperatures, human temperatures, right? De-escalation. It's okay to walk away from a name call or a Facebook post, right? Be bigger than that. Don't allow what people say to agitate you to a point where you do something and then there's repercussions, or disrupting a fight or an argument that spreads into the neighborhood, and addressing what the real issue is and having some of those conversations. So some groups like Catch More Kids, Not My Child, all of those have been very beneficial. We do a lot of events with them, and I appreciate their participation in what they do in our community. Robin, thank you. I appreciate that. That means a lot, and I appreciate it. Yesterday, after I got to talk with the youth down there at our camp, we went down and we had our flag raising ceremony for Juneteenth. Mayor was there, several council members, school board members, our city manager, Mr. Archer, was there. We had some comments, some good music. We raised the Juneteenth flag. This Saturday, we'll have a big celebration at King Lincoln Park. No, not King Lincoln Park. Victory Landing. Right, it's Victory Landing this year. So 12 to 5. So I plan to be there and enjoy a little bit of the festivities. Looking forward to that. And you know, while I talk about Victory Landing, I should mention on Thursday evenings from 6 to 8, every Thursday through the summer, there's a concert series there, much like the concert series up at Port Warwick, which is on Wednesdays from 6 to 9 in Port Warwick. So I usually do Port Warwick on Wednesday, Victory Landing on Thursday. Friday is Friday Night Nets, and some people are like, Chief, you know, it's just about every evening. Yeah, but I'm telling you, I don't look at it as work. I look at it as fun. It's fun to get out and interact a little bit, get out and shake hands with people, talk to people, see kids running around and just having a good time. And again, it goes back to sometimes just showing up makes a big difference. You break down barriers, you build relationships, and I think that's important. So those are some of the things that we have community-wise, police-wise, city-wise this summer. We have a award ceremony coming up June. I know we got it posted. Men and women who do exceptional things in our department, and community members who do exceptional things in our department. So we have our award ceremony. I'm going to get it before. I just don't want to give you the wrong date. But we got that coming up. I'll mention it before we leave here. But we'll be up at Pastor Maxwell's church.
26.
It is at 26 at 10 o'clock, right? 10 a.m.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
We'll be at Pastor Maxwell's church on Warwick Boulevard. So we'll have our award ceremony then. We have a graduation ceremony coming in July. The 18 recruits will graduate in July 12th. So then once they graduate, right, they go to the individual precincts and they do field training for 3 or 4 months with a senior officer, and then they're able to be on their own. So I don't even know if the recruits know this yet. So if you guys hear this message, keep it. This Friday we have our use of force review board, and then after that, myself and the other chiefs and the academy staff and the captains, right? Because everyone who graduates the academy goes to one of the 3 precincts. We have, if you've ever seen it, it is like the NFL draft. We get kind of a little bit of background on each recruit, hear a little bit about them, what their interests are. The captains pay attention and interact with the academy staff and the recruits. Sometimes they'll go to the classes and just observe or talk to academy personnel, and then they make their selections. So you'll hear them battling it out. You know, I want this individual, I want that, I need this individual because they speak Spanish and I live in it. You know, so to hear them it's just really good. I want this to do it because they're great with youth, all this. So, yeah, it's like the NFL draft, and we go through, we're like, all right, North Precinct, you're on the clock. Central Precinct, you have the next selection. And we go. So it's fun, right? And I learn a little bit of background about each recruit, where they were when they started the academy and where they graduate. But I will tell you, graduation days in our city for our police recruits, that's a special day. It's not just the academy. It's a city event. A lot of our city leaders and partners in the community come out. It's just a big day, as it should be, right? I mean, that's to go through police academy, graduate. That's a big celebration, and they deserve it. So I know I'm looking forward to them graduating. It's going to allow us some internal moves. It's going to really help us with our staffing in the precincts. So I'm excited about that, and that happens on July the 12th. Then we start moving into August, right? I mean, look, graduation's only like 3 weeks away. Then we start moving into August, and then we start all our back-to-school events, right? So I usually get a ton of invites, different groups, YMCA, Boys and Girls Clubs, civic organizations, community organization, and groups that are having back-to-school events and getting young people ready to go back to school. So I always enjoy attending those, and that's kind of how we'll play out our summer. Yeah, so that's kind of, I don't want to go too far into September, October, what we're doing around the holidays, but I cannot believe that we're halfway, man, we're over halfway through June already. It seems like school just started. And it was a great school year, by the way, right? I was just talking, I just had some text messages back and forth with Dr. Mitchell, our school superintendent, this morning, just talking about some things, school board meetings coming up, and how things went for the school year. Kids are doing, working or whatever over the summer. But I thought we had a really good school year. I mean, there's challenges every year. We respond to things and situations, but we have a great partnership with schools, and I think that goes a long way as well. What else? What else have I not touched base on before we hit some of these questions? We talked about, we did have our press conference yesterday. We talked about high school graduations. We've got the upcoming award ceremony in June, the end of June. July we'll have our police department graduation with our recruits. And then we get into August, which is kind of our back to school. We talked about pickleball. I'm excited about that, as we are starting now recruiting for our next recruit class that will start in the end of July. Our goal there is to have about 25 in that class. The new academy is coming along well as we continue to prep for that and build that out. Furniture, computer, technology, all those things are coming together. But the next class, we're shooting for a class of 25. They would graduate. They start at the end of July. The academy's 6.5, but I keep adding weeks on there at different classes. So let's say 7 months, right? So we'll be looking February, March for them to graduate, just the beginning of next year. And then we have a smaller class that's in right now that will graduate around October, November of this year. It's a class of about 10 or 11. That was a smaller class that started, but that'll help us as we get towards after the summer, and then some vacancies that we've got. Those 10 will help us do some different things. And we're looking at, just being transparent, we're looking at adding to our K-9 unit. We're debating on adding 2 more environmental officer positions. That helps us some of the things. Officer Greathouse does a super job. He's primarily in the southeast community right now. He does venture out a little bit, but addressing issues like blight, lighting, abandoned vehicles, overgrown shrubbery, houses that are abandoned and boarded up and the boards have been ripped down, or somebody may have made entry into the back door. He helps us with issues with homelessness, works a lot with Four Oaks, works a lot with human services. But I think there's a need to expand that. City Council has funded those positions. It's just a matter about filling vacancies right now. But that's something that we're trying to balance with. Brenda says, never heard of pickleball. Brenda, I had not either. Then I looked it up. If you look it up on the internet or ask anybody, it's really taken off. And I don't really know how else to describe it except somewhere between tennis and ping pong. It's like a wiffle ball that's a little bigger. Maybe we have to post a video in here or something. But it is really, really fun. I know the officers seem really, really excited about it. I didn't know we had so many officers that played it. I mean, they've already gone out and got paddles and balls. And, look, I shouldn't say this because I don't know if the mayor or the city manager is watching, but we were having our first conversation about it, and an individual had donated some paddles and balls already to us. And I'm telling you, I walked around the corner and I had some officers going back and forth in the hallway out here. And I'm like, hey, we got to work, right? But they were just like, man, so they were smiling. And anyway, we had our first lesson last week, and I think it's going to be great. So I'm excited about it. I know the police foundation that we have is talking about doing a pickleball tournament. I don't know if I'm tournament material yet, but I know I can go out there and have some fun. So I'm excited, and I had not heard a lot about it, but wait, Brenda, you said telling your age. That's why we can't keep up with this young stuff. Well, Brenda, I agree. So you know what? Look, I can at least sit there and I don't know if you heckle. You can heckle in basketball games. I don't know if you can heckle in pickleball, but we go out and tease the people that are playing. Lauren, you say we can't. We can throw some. All right, yeah, we can make some noise or whatever. Hit it hard, right? That was in, that was out. So a couple years ago, I was big into kickball. So we'll see how the pickleball thing goes, but I'm excited about it. And then look, Lauren, remind me. I want to share a little bit with this community about our young adult police commissioners, where we're at with that, and how we ended the gala. But Joy, Joy, are you actually trying to describe what pickleball? Joy says it's like ping pong, less like tennis, but indeed a cross between the two. So Joy, I was pretty accurate, right? I saw the paddles. The paddles look like ping pong paddles, but bigger. The ball looks like a wiffle ball, but bigger. So yeah, I'm interested to get out and hit the ball around a little bit. And the mayor, you know how physically fit he is, right? And how much he's into fitness and how much he's into youth. So I would be willing to lay high odds that he will be showing up at our pickleball interaction with youth. So that will be great. Telling your age, Brenda. Look, you can look at me and tell my age, so it's okay. I'm not. It's all, no worries. I get it, right? But I do got to be careful, right? Police officers. I mean, I don't want people getting injured playing pickleball. I need them on the street and in our community. So we gotta watch them. But there's already some trash talking going on. But we will certainly have fun. I'll tell you, the young youth, right? I think it keeps me motivated. So if you haven't heard before, we have this Young Adult Police Commissioner program, and that is a freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior from every high school, and we work with them all through the year. We meet every Wednesday. We feed them. We have a good meal together, and we do things like debates. We talk about the dangers of drunk driving and alcohol or drug use. We put the beer goggles on, right, and we have them get in a golf cart, and we go to a parking lot, and we set up these cones, right, and Chief, we can drive, they knock every cone down, right? All we can do this is they knock every cone down. So these goggles distort your vision, much like if you had too much to drink. But we have some fun with it, and we learn a lesson. Look, I tried it, and I went up on the curb, and anyway, we do things like at the food bank. We clean up in the community. We have a forum at each high school and did some question and answer, and they kind of started off slow, but then kids really got into it, and the commissioners helped facilitate that, and I just enjoy that, right? I just think that's our future. Just being able to interact with them and hear some of their thoughts, right, and some of their lingo, but they also build bonds. The relationship they have with the school resource officers, junior ROTC, all of those things. Got to see Jordan from Mitchville, a state champion in wrestling. Officer Washington was able to attend that. Woodside basketball state. It was just, it's just, going. We got to myself and Chief Creswell and Captain Spencer went out to see Mitchville play in the finals and the championships for high school baseball. So it's just good events. And I think being out, me and Chief Grinstead walking around the football games once we start that back in September, I just think that all those things play a big part. So what we do then at the end of our school year is we have a gala, right? So the kids get dressed up, and officers and chief gets dressed up, right? And we have a gala. We give out some awards. We show some photographs, talk about the year. We have a meal together. It's just a good time kind of celebrating the end of the year. And then the seniors that go on, I think we had at least seven seniors that graduated, 7 or 8 seniors that graduated this year. So we'll get a new batch of students in September. I look forward to meeting with them. There'll be some kids that come in September. We'll really kick it off in October and get right back into it. And part of that group, you know, I will share with them some things that I don't put out in social media, or things that we don't put out to the media. We'll have some conversations about what happened in the community, what happened in the neighborhood. How do they feel about that? What do they think about city government? What do they want to see from their city? Those things matter. So you're bringing them to the conversation, and that's one of their logos, right? Young Adult Police Commissioners bringing youth to the conversation, and I think that's important. Sit down and hear how they feel about things. What do they think? You know, we talk a lot every year. There's always a statewide conversation or a countrywide conversation about police officers in schools, and some feel one way and some feel another. But I don't think that we talk to the kids enough about how they feel. Do they want school resource officers? And overwhelmingly, what I have found in our school system is that they do. But it's also important to put the right officer in that school. So it's a competitive process for us. The school system does some of the interviews to help select the officers in those positions. But I want us interacting and mingling and interacting with those young people and being a resource, right? Our officers are there for the kids' safety and also to build relationships. And knowing what those boundaries are. And I will tell you, when I see pictures of taking a group of kids out to lunch or doing something in the community with them or sitting at a ball game, you're building relationships. And I'm telling you, Dr. Lyons will tell you all the time, one of my advisors, how important it is to build relationships, communication with our community. And I just think that sets us apart. I think that's got to be a foundation of what we do in 21st century policing. All right, we got the ping pong. Marie, pickleball is fast paced. Yeah, that's what I hear, Maria. But it's going to be all right. We're going to give it a shot. And I don't know if you put like backspin or any of this stuff, but we'll learn it. And look, if it gets too hard, right, I'm just going to swing at it like it's a baseball, and we'll let the young kids go chase the ball down or whatever, right? Joy says, I played a lot of ping pong as a kid, and we had a slot cart. What? A slot cart track. My parents can be the neighborhood's house hub. Hey, Joy, I'm good with that. Look, we just started talking about pickleball, right? And how many comments have already been on it? So something must be there. Look, last week, another thing we had, just last week or the week before, we had our gun violence walk. So we went up to City Center. Dr. Cheryl Shavers did a great job putting that together with our homicide support group, individuals who've lost loved ones, and to gun violence. And I don't just mean in our city. I mean across the peninsula. We even have individuals in other cities, right, who come here to attend a homicide support group that we have, and we talk about gun violence. So we all came out, and there was Mr. Gwynn said a few words. We had a victim's family member say a few words, and we also had a victim of gun violence that spoke. And when I came to Newport News in 2018, the summer of 2018, there was a young man who just suffered a gunshot wound in his community. And I got to meet him, and I just kind of built a bond with this young man, Malachi. He came down and met the dispatchers who dispatched resources and officers to the scene. And I watched him grow up. I'd seen him in school. He is one of our young adult police commissioners, and I found out that he was speaking. I didn't know that was going to happen, and I've never pushed him. But he came out and spoke, and I think he touched a lot of people. And we walked around. We did one lap around City Center, around the fountain, and then took a group photo. But hear him speak and tell his story, I just think he's blessed. I think he's remarkable. And he touched a lot of people. And I think that he, he's kind of turned something negative that happened to him into a positive. It motivates him. He is a fighter. And to hear him speak, and my gosh, he's still got a couple years of school. Yeah, I'm just blessed to work with him. He is one of our young adult police commissioners. I think he's an ambassador for our city. But to hear him, things that he said, it was just really impactful. So I was like, man, I don't want to speak after him. I think it's kind of cool to call him my friend. So, but it's important, right? The mayor came out, he walked with us. Like I said, Mr. Gwynn and others spoke. It was just a really, really good event, an important event, and I just really appreciate that and was impressed. Let me catch up. Lucas, we no longer talk about a traffic. Luke, wait. Oh, you know what? Let me say. So sometimes the screen jumps, and it's just because new posts come in. So just work with me a minute if I got it. And if I miss someone, charge that to my heart. It's not intentional. We just get talking on a couple of topics. Lucas, we no longer talk about traffic unit. Could you not make a smaller unit dedicated to traffic? Skip can't alone. So Lucas, no, I get it, but a lot of it we have to make things with staffing issues where we're at. So right now, what we try to do is have the patrol officers absorb some of the traffic enforcement. But I would agree with you, Lucas. I think a dedicated unit that focuses on traffic is the way to go because it if you spot check it right, but I'd like to have a concerted effort. But I've also got to look at balance, and I got to look at those radio calls. How are we? I can't overload 6, 7 officers with radio calls. I've got to make sure that I've got adequate backup, right? So as we get more officers in, I will tell you that's one of the things that we talk about with the 10 that are going to graduate. I've got some extra officers now freed up from because school's out through the summer. But when the next group graduates there in October or 1st of November, we're really debating on traffic and canine about what's the best traffic, canine, and environmental. Those are the things I'm looking at. So no, I would. It's not that we don't talk about it. It's just the big issue is, do we have the staffing to do a fully dedicated traffic unit, or is it better to dedicate a couple traffic officers and assign them to the precinct, where that precinct captain can say, in north, these are the areas I want to focus on the traffic, in central, and in south, or is it better to have a unit that does that as a group? So we're just kind of looking through that. But I created that traffic unit a couple years ago. I think it's valuable. I think it's necessary. I think it does impact crime. It does slow down. When I'm looking at our accidents, I'm looking at our speeding complaints, I look at our fatalities, and I look at our pedestrians that are struck by motor vehicles or individuals on bicycles, right? So I agree with you. If you walked in my office right now, there's a whiteboard in there. Traffic, canine, environmental are 3 things that I've got on there. I just got to be able to balance all that with the number of calls for service, and we've seen those really increase. I mean, we kind of pushed up right against Norfolk on calls for service last year. So, but we've also scroll back up to Lucas for a minute. Lucas, we've also talked about doing some overtime assignments. But I fully am committed to doing the traffic enforcement. It's just how is the best way to do it. So I don't want you to think that we don't talk about it. We talk about it all the time. Probably the number one complaint or concern that I get, and there's a couple different communities that we see it really impacting. So, but I certainly want to put a concerted effort on it this summer, and I don't want you to think we just have one traffic officer. That's not the case. But there may be one officer that we put in a particular location that is high with traffic accidents or traffic crashes, if you will. So, but certainly, those 3 things are important to me: environmental, canine, and traffic enforcement. So, Lucas, I'm with you. I'm just trying to balance calls for service, manpower, vacancies. Anna says pickleball, fast pace, that leaves you out. And I'm not sure who you're talking to. I know you're not talking to me. Tracy, oh my gosh, pickleball sounds like fun if you know how to play tennis and ping pong. How hard it can be for those with a little age on them. Make sure you have the Bengay. So Tracy, I would agree with you. Look, I'll probably come out there with a bike helmet. I'm going to put the big pads on, like the rollerblade pads, maybe even some football pads or something. I'm going to come prepared. Face shield, all that. I'm gonna put the black paint under my eyes. I'm gonna be intimidating when I step on the pickleball court. Lucas, do it, not don't. Wait, what? We're no longer. Yep. I'm not sure I understand that post. I don't know if that's in replying to someone else. Brenda, yes, and ice. Fair, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. So we talked about manpower. We talked about our academy. things that we're doing with youth. We can continue to move forward. I've got some meetings set up about some individuals who want to try to do some outreach, different things in the community. There's a lot of community events that organizations are holding that we'll be playing a part of. The other side, a couple other things we're talking about are some tabletop exercises about active shooter, situational awareness. Some entities, we'll be doing that with our churches. Some entities, we always do something with our schools over the summers. We prepare to go into the next school year. I just think that's important. I wish we didn't have to even discuss some of those things, but in the world we live in today, the more prepared we are and the more practice we have, I think that makes us better. I'm excited about the new class that will start in July. I did some interviews finishing up that last week, and there's this Saturday, there's an all-day hiring event. And one of the things about that in the police department, right, you come in and you do your written test, and there's the physical agility test, and then there's a short interview. So it's 3 or 4 or 5 different things. And we're setting aside some Saturdays where you can come in and do 4 or 5 of those things. So you don't have to keep coming back and doing all the different things. You'll meet a recruiter that can do some, start that background. You do the physical agility. But myself and others will come out. We enjoy that. We enjoy seeing the new applicants that are applying. I think we're seeing some increases. We're starting to see more and more start to come back and really pushing that. It is a great profession. It's challenging now. It's challenging. And the things you see and respond to, the long hours you put in and the things that you miss, right? Because it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Nobody's just sitting at home. We don't just shut the doors on Christmas Day and New Year's Eve and Thanksgiving. Officers are still working. So this job is challenging. But I will tell you, it is very, very, very rewarding. It's new every day. I don't know what's going to happen when I finish here. I don't know what's going to happen the next hour. I know where I'm supposed to be. I know some events that I have, but I don't know what's going to take place. I don't know what's going to happen tonight or this weekend or tomorrow. We didn't prepare for the situation we had last Saturday morning. But every day is different, and you get up and just interact with people. And sometimes that little bit of helping someone, talking to someone, being there for someone. About a week and a half ago, we had some young people at Early Learning Center, 3, 4, and 5-year-olds that were walking down to Down and Gross to do just to see a puppet show, 2-block hike, right? But myself and the assistant chiefs and several officers from South Precinct showed up, and we got to walk with these young. And man, the kids were high-fiving us. They were jumping around. They were all excited. Got some hugs. It was just really, really cool. And I'll tell you, there were some citizens that just stopped and stood on the street corner, and I walked over and just talked to them, and they're like, "Chief, we just saw this, and this is pretty cool. We just wanted to stop and interact." And a citizen told me, she said, it was female, and she said, "Chief, you never know what people are going through. You never know what people's home life is. You never know what they've experienced the night before, and just you all interacting with these young people means something." And I'll tell you, it kind of impacted me. Like, wow, I know the importance of outreach, and I know that, but to hear someone else talk about it and just stop and say thank you, it was impactful to me. So I called the assistant chiefs over. We had a short conversation. There was another individual who just lived in the community. He's like, "Chief, I just came out to see what was going on." And but it was really, I really enjoyed it. I will tell you, it was the best part of the day. I did not. Chief Grinstead wanted to. We talked about stopping and watching the puppet show, but we had to get back and do some work at the office. But I'll tell you, it was really cool to interact with them. So Captain Dunbar and his team were all out there, and from South Precinct, it was just a good start to the morning. Rivera, Atkinson Speedway, is a lot quieter in the last few months. Thanks for that. So yeah, Lucas, I don't know if you can see that post by Mr. Rivera, but Atkinson Way is an area that we've also focused on. Jefferson Avenue, when you get up around Food Lion, we've had some pedestrian accidents there, people trying to run across the street. But we've got 4 or 5. Now, look, I understand numerous locations where people would like to see more traffic enforcement. We do some traffic studies with engineering about should we put speed bumps in this community, this neighborhood. There's 4 or 5 locations we try to identify each year in January of 4 or 5 that we really want to focus on throughout the year. Mr. Rivera, I appreciate that because that's an area that we have focused on. Areas around Wickham, we've gotten complaints about speeding there. So I completely get it. I know it is a viable importance to make sure that we're doing that as focus on traffic enforcement. So I agree, and I appreciate letting me know people's thoughts on that, and I do think it's important. We have even talked about maybe bringing back some officers who are retired and coming back and just having them do traffic enforcement like in a part-time capacity, right, if you will. So, hey, Ms. Cox, good afternoon. It's good to have you here. I appreciate all that you do. If you didn't know, we just did a promotional process. Sergeant Juno, who works down in our Special Victims Unit, was just promoted to the rank of sergeant. She is assigned down to South Precinct, and then we have a lieutenant and sergeant process going again. And one of the reasons we do that is so we always have an active list. And I believe, if what I remember correctly, I believe we had a record number of individuals put in for sergeant. So that's always good to see people wanting to take on more and more responsibility. I'm excited about that. But the sergeant lieutenant process, I think, was just this past weekend as well. So a lot of things going on. So I know we're pushing up against the 1 o'clock hour. I want to thank everybody who joined us today. We're going to do this again. I'll be back at 6. Lauren, you're not with me, or you're back with me? Lauren just shook her head. She's like, no, I'm not here at 6. So it must be me and Kelly this evening. So if you have any questions, think about it. Look, I know life is fast-paced in the summer. It's hard. And so if you want to tune in and watch the episode later on, feel free. If you want to watch it, if you have trouble sleeping and you want something to help put you to sleep, you can turn me on, right? You can be right out. But I really appreciate the conversations, the interactions. I think it's important what we do with our community, that we have citizens on our use of force review board, right? People that are retired, school teachers, people who work at the shipyard, individuals on the NAACP, the president and vice president, both members of our use of force review board. Ms. Cox is a member of our community activist. Same individuals sit on our promotional processes and panels, and whether we're having individuals at the Boys and Girls Club, individuals at the NAACP, retired teachers, individuals in our community that sit on. I want citizens interacting with what we do, right? Whether we're hiring dispatchers, civilian employees, police officers, it makes a difference. So I appreciate several of you that have chimed in today have helped us with that. And one of the reasons we do that is citizens ask different questions, right? We can cover policy and procedure, but citizens ask questions here. How are you going to interact with youth? Do you feel like everyone has to get arrested when they get pulled over for a traffic violation or whatever? They ask different questions that make officers think about what's important to citizens in our community. Is it Annette? Am I reading that right? Hello, Chief. Jumping on late, but just wanted to thank you for all that you and your officers. Well, let me tell you that. Posts like that, officers, they won't admit it, but they will. That means more to them than any plaque or medal. Just a citizen saying thank you. So I greatly appreciate that. That means a lot. So thank you, even though you jumped on late. That's all right. Thank you for taking the time to send that message. That means a lot. Thank you, Joy. Thank you for spending time with us. And Joy, you too. I'll share with you right before we get off here. I'm really going to make a commitment as we move into the last couple weeks of June, July, and August. I really like to get out and walk in the community. If there's an individual that there's some community you'd like to join me in a walk with, you can just send it into Facebook, instant message, or instant chat, whatever, all those social media. You can just call us and let us know if you like, right? But 4 or 5 o'clock, I'm going to try to get out a couple evenings or at late afternoons and just walk in the community. And sometimes officers will go with me. Sometimes I won't tell them where I'm going. Just park the car and get out and walk and spend some time, right? I get my steps in, I get to interact with citizens, interact with some of the youth that are playing. You might see me playing wiffle ball, throwing a football, playing some basketball, or just kind of hanging out at a playground. We go up to Aqueduct, that playground that's in the back is one of the best places to hang out. And I get to see the kids tell me all the different things they can do, all the flips and slides and all that stuff. But sometimes it's just good to just interact. and I enjoy that. So if somebody has a neighborhood that you'd like me to come walk with you or walk in that neighborhood, please let me know. But I'm going to start hitting that a little bit more, most likely next week, and as we get into the latter part of June and July and August, whether it's like a Monday or Tuesday. Mondays are really good for me because we've got a couple other events going on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. So I'm going to try to do that more on Mondays and Tuesdays as we move forward. All right, look, listen, it is 1:03. I've taken up enough of your time. I appreciate you all spending some time with me. We'll do this again at 6 o'clock. Be safe. God bless you, and thank you for your time this afternoon. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.